Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat on Michigan Business Network. Jeffrey Mosher sitting in for Chris Holman on the road, Traverse City vicinity, CAR MBS, Center for Automotive Research, Management Briefing Seminars, number 58. And for the third year in a row, we can welcome back our guest, Jan Griffiths. And she is the president and founder of Gravitas Detroit, host of the Automotive Leaders podcast. Jan, welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat.
It's great to be here again. Thank you.
Excellent. You were a keynoter a couple of years ago. Last year, we caught up with you for an interview with Mr. Holman, and we're back again. So you're on hand for CAR MBS. What is your role this year?
My role this year, believe it or not, I'm here as a podcaster. The Automotive Leaders podcast is taking off. My mission, as you know, is to drive cultural transformation in the automotive industry, and a podcast is a great way to do that, so leaders can talk about how they practice cultural transformation and authentic leadership. So I'm here today as a podcaster. Never in my entire career did I ever think I'd be coming to CAR MBS as a podcaster, but here I am.
Tremendous. Let's take that step back and reintroduce you to the Michigan business community. Speak about Gravitas Detroit.
Well, thank you. You know, being an entrepreneur, as you all know, is a journey. And I have been on this journey for 5 years. I left my corporate job 5 years ago, in fact, this month. And I launched Gravitas Detroit later in the October of that year. And I had an idea of what I wanted to do. The mission was clear. The vision was not so clear. And the steps to get there, definitely not clear. And they say that it's a process and it takes a while to evolve as a business. And I am here today to tell you that finally all the pieces that I've been working on over the past 5 years have finally come into place. I am the architect of cultural transformation in the automotive industry, and I do it with 3 different product offerings, if you will. The first is off-site leadership meetings. Got to get that leadership team on the same page. Step 1. Step 2, amplify that message to your employees and engage some learning opportunities with that, an online course. And step 3 is, of course, podcasting, internal podcasting to amplify the cultural transformation message that's so needed in this industry.
Perfect. And with the Automotive Leaders podcast, you've hit a milestone recently. Share that exciting news.
Yes. Well, most podcasts fail before they hit the 10th episode because it's a commitment, you have to have a strategy, and there's a lot of work behind it. I am thrilled to announce that just last week we released episode 100. Now, I had to get some special guests on the show, and so I was able to secure John McElroy, who you all know and love in the automotive industry, and also Jason Stein, former publisher of Automotive News. And both of these guys have seen my career journey from corporate into Gravitas Detroit and into podcasting. And they were gracious enough to join me at the mic, and we had an awesome conversation about what's happening in the industry. And I will quote John McElroy. He said, "We're going to see more change in the next 7, wait for it, than we've seen in the past 100. We need the culture transformation to go along with the product transformation." And that's what I'm all about.
In your speaking roles in the past year, have you focused on Michigan, or have you gone down the corridor of Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama in automotive?
I've been mostly focused in Michigan. Yeah, mostly focused in Michigan.
Tremendous. And highlight some of the guests or some of the topics that you think would be great for folks to think about, and maybe check out your website. And what is that website?
Yeah, so the website is gravitasdetroit.com. Now that, as I just mentioned, all the pieces have come into place, guess what? Another website revision. All you business owners out there will know what that feels like. So that's happening. But we've got some really interesting guests coming up on the podcast, and I will give you a sneak peek right now. And that is, we've got Cheryl Thompson from CADIA. She is the CEO for CADIA, the Center for Advancement of Diversity Inclusion Association. And then I've also got Kristen Trecker, who is the Chief Global Chief HR Officer for Visteon. So we've got lots of exciting guests. I will, of course, throw in a few more authors out there. And if you haven't checked out the interview with Stephen Covey on his latest book, Trust and Inspire, that's a good one.
Tremendous. So, leadership and operations, do you get into mobility, sustainability, and some other issues that the auto industry is involved and immersed in?
Yes. So my umbrella is broad. It's culture transformation in the automotive industry. I also co-host and produce a podcast for two companies, QAD out of California and Quistem. And both of these companies are very focused on automotive supply chain. And the podcast is called Auto Supply Chain Profits. PROPHETS. And we really get it focused on things like ESG, things that are top of mind in the automotive supply chain, much more in depth than I would say my podcast, which is more focused on broader cultural issues.
In our last 30 seconds, yes, you're a podcaster. What are you looking forward to here this week with CAR MBS?
I am looking forward to engaging discussions with leaders about cultural transformation. Yes, this conference is very much focused on the product side of it, but I want to get maybe some of those conversations that we're not talking about as much as I believe we need to. And there are some great speakers here today. We just saw Paul Thomas, the future president of Bosch Mobility. He gave an awesome presentation about his approach to the industry and mobility. So I'm looking to try and catch him with my microphone at some point in the next couple of days.
Well, Jan, thank you so much for spending some time with the Michigan Business Beat today.
Always a pleasure to be with the Michigan Business Beat.
Tremendous. Once again, Jan Griffiths is the president and founder of Gravitas Detroit, host of the Automotive Leaders Podcast, and we'll be back with more on the Michigan Business Beat on Michigan Business Network.